Hello, Garm3D with you. How are you doing? Really? Oh, well, I did not know about that. That's good to know. Well, as for me, I recently did this project here with the character. Well, not this. I made this just for you guys, because I'm nice. But I did a character project recently with a character wearing some earphones with a cable attached. And I ran into some issues along the way, and I stomped them into the ground. So I made this video for you to show you what I went through and how I tackled it and all that stuff. So, maybe you'll get some benefit from it. So, here's the animation of this little thing I made for you. Now let's go into Modeler and make ourselves a cable to attach these headphones. Okay, here we are in Modeler. I cleared my scene in layout because if you're leaving a scene open and then you go into Modeler and you load up a model that you don't intend to save, you're just using for reference, it can still kind of screw up your scene because of the hub transferring of the data that gets updated to layout. I'm going to load up the guy even though we don't need him. Okay, as you can see he's got various pieces there, but I'm just using this as a size reference. Just to get a rough idea of how big I should make my cable, I'll use the box tool here and we'll do something like that to something like that. Give it some segments. I'm hitting the up arrow key to increase the number of segments. I'll give a whole bunch of segments to make it a nice curved cable. The more segments it has, the less it looks like there are visible notches in it. Alright, drop the tool, pick points, and delete. So now I have a row of 2-point polygons here. I'll center that. There we go. Don't need to center it, but I'm doing it just to be tidy. Okay, let's save this. Save layer as cable. If I could type. Alright. Let's close this out. So even though I didn't save the actual cable guy object, just because I was monkeying around with him, making a new object in another layer, it might have messed up some stuff in layout if I still had the scene open. I'm going to load that cable up again, and we'll make a couple of weight maps here. Let's pick these 2 points here, and these 2 points here, and let's go to the weights here and make a new weight map. Let's call it fixed. Alright, let's save that. And let's get out of here. Go back into the main scene. Load the scene up. Just load up my cable. And I'm just going to kind of move him in a general area where he needs to be. Not too close, because we're going to use the guy as a collision object, and we don't want him to be too close to our collision object when we start the calculation. Alright, let's drop the key for there on frame 0. Sorry, I didn't show that to you. Set the key for frame 0. I should move to frame 0. Make things easier. Oh, I forgot about that. The start of the animation, he is facing in the positive Z direction, as all good characters should be when you rig them. And then for the first 20 frames of the animation, he turns around before he does his thing. So now I got to move this guy again. Let's turn on the headlight. Okay. Let's see, let's add a bone, a couple bones. Cancel. It looks like the key I'm using to pan around my video recorder is changing what I have selected. Let's call this start. And I'm going to rotate that 90 degrees. I'm going to stop my video and change the keystroke for that. Okay, that's better. So I'm going to rotate this down. Nine degrees. Oops. Let's move him up here. I'm going to hit the left bracket a couple times so I can zoom in closer. That's good enough. Okay, I'll go to Properties and reduce the rest length because it does not need to be quite so long. Choose the weight map, fixed, and hit the R key and make sure I set a keyframe for that. So now that that is mapped, you can see that it's moving the top and bottom of the cable. Maybe that's a little hard to see. There. You can see it's moving down here too. But that's okay. We'll make another bone down there. Call it end. Okay, let's save the scene. So now you can see this bone moves this bone moves this. Even though they're using the same weight map, they're far apart enough from each other where they're not going to have any crosstalk. Okay. The next thing I'll want to do is put a null in the headphones where I want this guy to connect. And do note that we're going to be using a rotation constraint. So I want the positive Z to be going down like that. I changed this to local axis so that we can see which way the local direction of this null is pointing. I'm going to use a plugin here, and I'm going to tell you all about it because it's pretty cool. Everybody should have it. Okay, so yeah, in your browser, go here, pixim.co.uk, and scroll down to, looks like there's a lot of interesting stuff here. About this far down the page, Assign Tools Pack. Get this. I don't know if I have this version, but anyway, get this. This is great. Read the directions, put it in your menus for Lightwave. It'll save you a lot of time. I'm just going to go use that right now so you can see it in action. Excuse me. Okay, so I got my null here. Go to my Setup tab. I'm going to use Store Selected, which is the Assign Tools Pack. Click on this guy and choose Assign Position and Assign Rotation. So that did all this stuff. And I don't have to go digging through the list of items to assign these things, which is great. The one thing I want to do is, instead of having it on all the time, I'm going to animate it, envelope. Let's say frame 6. And on this one, frame 0. Let's copy that. Let's go to position. Paste. Okay. So now you will see that over the course of 6 frames, it starts here, and then when I scrub, it locks onto there. Except one thing, I don't have that. I need to make this guy a child of the headphone, so let's do that now. I'll select the headphone, store selected, select this guy, and assign parent. And I do have parent in place on, so now it's doing what it should. Alright, I will pause the video while I do something very similar to the bottom here. Okay, I've cleared my scene in layout. I'm back in Modeler, and what I need to do next is make an alternate version of this guy. Let's put him in perspective view here and texture wire. Okay, so this guy, as you can see, is a subdivided, largely quad-based model, and that's not good for what we're about to do. When you're doing cloth effects stuff with collisions, you need a trigon model only. So I'm going to turn off subdivisions, and I'm going to hit Shift T, like so. Just make everything triple there, and let's save layers as object. We'll say cable guy trigon, and let's do it for this too. Let's get out of here. Do not save. Load the scene. And I'm going to use replace with object, like so. Okay, all 3 of these guys have been replaced with purely triangulated geometry, as you can see. Alright, so let's tell these guys, I don't think we need to worry about the headphones being collisions. The cable is really not going to be interfering with that too much. Go into properties, effects, collision. Let's lower the bounce, and let's give a little friction. I think that's good enough. Alright. Let's add cloth effects to this rope. Now you may be asking yourself why I'm not using Bullet, because Bullet can do cloth type stuff. Well, I don't think Bullet's ready for prime time when it comes to cloth. I think it's really good at the wiggling, jiggling, soft body stuff, but cloth, I think it gets very unstable. Cloth effects is actually quite stable once you know the ins and outs of it. Let's see here. Let's crank up the hold structure. I don't remember. No, not the hold structure. Substructure. I don't remember every single setting I did for this project, but I do remember the important ones that we're going to go into detail on this. But collect collision detect all, and stretch limit 10%. Let's give it some gravity, and let's increase the resolution a bit, and let's calculate, see what happens. We should probably turn around because he's going to turn around. Turn off the headlight and hit calculate. Okay, I forgot to tell the fixed parts to be fixed. Let's try that again. There we go. Yes, that's reacting exactly as I predicted, which is not pleasant. You can see the cables going right through his arms. So why is that? Well, let's go in a fresh scene and show you what's what. Okay, we're in a very, very basic, simple scene here. We got a piece of cloth hanging. I told these 2 points here to be fixed. Let's calculate it. You can see it stretches way down there when it does its thing, like so. So that is why we go into advanced and choose stretch limit. Now you may have heard, if you've looked into cloth effects, that you should never go below 10% for stretch limit, because the lower this number gets, the slower your calculations become. So let's calculate that again. You can see it's doing a much better job of maintaining its original size. Let's jump back into our main scene. Alright, let's maybe make these guys black so the cable's a little easier to see. That's a little better. Alright, let's do the calculation again. Okay, the problem I was running into when I was doing this is that I thought it was a matter of increasing the resolution, making this number lower and lower and lower, and I was getting into the nanometers and stuff like that, but that wasn't the problem. I was barking up the wrong tree. The problem is, and it might be a little hard to see, okay, you might be able to see that there's a point here and a point here and a point here. I'm saying this because I can see that there are straight edges from here to here, from here to here, from here to here, stuff like that. So what's happening is I scrub through, the collisions are working actually at these points, and that's where it determines the collision from point to point. But the straight line between them, it does not look at that for collision. So the collisions for the lines will pass right through the top and bottom of his, or over his shoulder and underneath his armpit, but the line goes right through him. So the problem is not accuracy, it's that stretch limit. So it turns out for cables you need to restrict this quite a bit more, and we might even have to lower it lower than 1%. Let's calculate, see what happens. Yep, that's still not enough. So let's try 0.1. It's better. Oh, still not good enough. Actually, I think that might be an issue of accuracy here, because It's really good for most of it. And you can see it's touching a little bit. It's going inside a little bit. So what I might do is just increase the collision offset just a little bit. But aside from that, the time when it went through his arms, when he whipped around really fast, and that would be an issue of accuracy. The faster your character is moving, whoosh, right there, one frame, 2 frame. The faster your character is moving, well, actually it might be an issue of this as well. Let's try doing both. Let's say 0.5 and increase the accuracy. 0.3. Yeah, the faster this is moving, the lower you have to set this resolution for it to not pass through it accidentally. So let's try that again. Here comes the whip around. Pretty good. Yeah, it looks like it stayed pretty much where it's supposed to be. I saw it dip into his skin on 1 frame, but actually it looks pretty good. I think I might have been just seeing like a subframe going on while it was calculating. It looks pretty good to me. I don't see anything passing through anywhere. So that's good. We successfully calculated a cable. The only other thing I'll show you is the rendering. There's a new feature. I think it was 11.5, not sure exactly. I might as well just save this calculation. Hit the properties panel for the cable, go to edges, and I believe it's right here. As you can see that this is now showing a thickness in pixels. But what you can do is do negative, and see when you see it, you set it to a negative number, it shows it in meters. So it's an actual size, not in pixel resolution size. Obviously 1 is going to be a bit thick. Let's try 0.01. And our cable is not cable colored. Put on the VPR. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Maybe it's a little thick. Maybe I should have added a few more sections. I can see there's a little bit of like a zigzagging going on, but I think it'll be fine when it's moving. Let's make that a little thinner. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. So there you go. That's quite a bit to learn about cables. So enjoy your new knowledge and have fun.